Oh,
Okay. Good evening. 6:30. I'm going to call the order meeting 1900 of the East Windsor Planning and Zoning Commission. We are live here in the John Daly Room as well as we're on the Zoom platform. So we'll begin our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Sorry. Okay. We have a quorum. We have 4 regular members as well as 1 alternate. Wayne, Stacy said she was going to get on via Zoom, but if she does not, I'll ask you to sit on any voting that we may need to.
okay.
Okay. Do we have any added agenda items? Do not. Okay, legal notices. There was a legal notice. The East Windsor Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, July 22nd, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. Details regarding how to attend will be published in the commission's agenda and will be made available on the town's website. We have PZ 2025-11. The applicant owner is East Windsor Planning and Zoning Commission, is requesting a text amendment to the East Windsor zoning regulations, section 203, definitions, new terms added, 301.4, general provisions, 304D, uses permitted in any zone, 304.5, permitted accessory buildings and structures, 503, permitted accessory uses, new addition. Changes proposed to clarify regulations with regards to solar energy systems. We also have PZ 2025-14. The applicant owner is Shay Pomeroy and Roder Morello are seeking an amendment to allow short-term rentals within designated zone districts of East Windsor by special use permit. A full copy of the application is available on the Planning and Zoning Commission's webpage of the town's website. All interested persons may attend this meeting and provide verbal or written comments regarding this application. And this appeared in the Journal Enquirer on July 11th, 2025, again on July 18th, 2025. Okay, we're at the public participation portion of our meeting. Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to speak on a topic that is not on tonight's agenda?
Mary Tarbell, Miller Road, Broadbrook. It's very small, but for the past 3 days, and I think we all need to be aware of this, which is why I'm bringing it up. I am receiving what I'm going to consider spam calls to my cell phone and spam calls to my house phone. 2 of them have been surveys. The one that came yesterday, approximately at 4 p.m, was a very detailed survey from CS and I researched the telephone number that it came in from, and it came from Texas. And it was very specific to East Windsor and questions about everything that we're doing and going on with the solar fields and everything else. I received another one 2 hours ago, and that was a very long narrative from an 860 number. And again, it was a survey, and I'm not responding to any of these, I won't do it. But again, it was a very detailed survey asking my opinion, my family's opinion, anybody in my household's opinion about what East Windsor is doing. I suspect this is not coming from East Windsor. So I think we need to be aware of the fact, because I don't know what is going to come in from a public perspective on anybody that thinks that East Windsor is doing it. So I don't know, but I need us all to be aware of it, because it's coming, and I'm getting spam calls all the time. But these 2 specifically, yesterday and today, hit me like a ton of bricks. So if we could put that in the minutes somewhere so people are aware of it, but people are going to start answering all these questions, and it's going to, I don't know what's going to happen, but it's very concerning to me, especially the one that came from Texas. Because, somebody got the company is CS out of Middle Texas. And today I don't know, because it was 860.
Okay, is there anyone else? Is there anyone online that would like to speak on a topic that's not on tonight's agenda? Okay, now we'll move on. Approval of minutes. We have the minutes of last meeting, July 8th. Does anyone have any edits, corrections?
In line 41,
That happens.
there's a reference to Costco Plaza. And as much as I wish we had a Costco, I think they mean Pasco Plaza.
Line 41. Yep,
Exactly right.
yep.
Anything else?
I had noticed on line 72 that Commissioner Stacy had seconded the motion, but yet the next line down on 73, she says she abstained from the motion.
Okay, so which one is accurate? Was it a second or was it an abstention?
She was an abstention, I believe, because here now down at 78, she says abstained and I seconded the motion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so 71 should be changed to
72,
Jason seconded the motion?
72 should be
72?
changed to Leeson seconded the motion.
Anyone else have anything else? Yes, sure.
Line 174. If I'm saying. That's Yeah, I think it- sure. Recording secretary, the text for the motion.
Okay, anything else? Now I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from Tuesday, July 8th, meeting 1899, striking the word Costco in line 41 and replacing it with Pasco. In line 72, striking Vodka McKenna and replacing it with Leeson. And striking line 174.
There's a motion to approve the minutes as amended. Is there a second?
Second?
By Dave. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
This is aye, I abstain. Minutes are approved. Receipt of applications. We received two applications this week. We have PZ 2025-16. The owner applicant is Plug Property Group LLC. Eric Mogul is requesting a site plan modification for a commercial automotive repair and sales located at 298 South Main Street, map 2, block 5, lot 99, zone B2. In PZ 2025-17, the owner applicant is the Kemet Family Limited Partnership and Stanley Kemet Jr. Kemet and Sons Construction is requesting a renewal extension of a special use permit, which was PZ 2024-09 for soil management facilities. No change in operation is proposed. Located at 297 North Road, map 117, block 36, lot 43B and 43C, zoned A1. These applications will be heard at a future meeting. We have no performance bonds, actions, permit extensions, or road acceptances. We have no continued public hearings. So new public hearings. I would like to see us take these out of order here, application 14 first and 11. So can I have a motion to hear these out of order?
I'll make a motion to move application PZ 2025-14 before the hearing on PZ 2025-11.
We have a motion to hear application 14 out of order. Do we have a second?
Second?
And by Dave. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Stacy, thank you. Okay. Okay, so new public hearings. We'll go with PZ 2025-14. The only applicant is Shaw Pomeray and Yoder Morello. We're seeking a text amendment to allow short-term rentals within designated zoning districts of East Windsor by special use permit. Who's here to speak on behalf of this application?
Hello, I'm Shay. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I'm one of the owners of Morello B&B. My partner Roger owns 95 Main Street, which was the dilapidated brick building 2 down from the Opera House. We currently have 3 residential units and 1 commercial in the building. All of our tenants have been there since we renovated in 22. The commercial unit we were trying to rent out as an office space. Weren't having much luck, so we were trying to think outside the box. That's when we came up with the idea for an Airbnb. Obviously at the time we didn't know that they weren't allowed. But considering that it is open to the public through online bookings, it's street front, we have off-street parking, we're bringing a lot of business to Broadbrook. We figured to kind of fit the narrative for that space. So we've been operating for about 3 years, and I know there's a couple other B&B owners in the town as well that have been operating for 3 to 5 years. So I think it's safe to say that the trial basis for short-term rentals in Broadbrook has kind of already been accomplished and proves that there's really no risk for concern. Hasn't been a single complaint to the town about short-term rentals. Our unit is in a 4-unit building, so it's kind of more in close quarters. We haven't had any complaints from any of our tenants. And I believe that the B&Bs do bring a lot of business into Broadbrook. Most of our guests are either coming to stay for a few days to see family in South Windsor or Enfield. They're going to Bradley International in the morning for a flight, traveling on I-91 and just staying in Broadbrook because it's convenient. I think that a lot of the business we bring wouldn't be there if it weren't for the Airbnb. I mean, I grew up in Windsor Locks and I didn't even know Broadbrook existed until I had moved there. So I think it is a valuable asset to the community, and obviously hope everyone's on board to continue supporting small businesses in Main Street. And that's kind of all I have to say. Like I said, there hasn't been any complaints to the town at all since most of us have been operating for the last 3 to 5 years. So I'd say that's a extremely positive thing. There is a section 817.2 in the regulations that states that the overall vision for planned commercial development district is one that affords flexibility to facilitate high quality site design and diversity of uses and robust environmental protection standards for the purpose of enabling the highest and best use of the property. So I think this really opens up opportunities for other property owners as well to be able to use their property in the best way possible.
Lucian, you want to take us through the amendments that would go into our regs?
Sure. So the applicant put together a thorough proposal, and Danielle and I went through and made some modifications, and that's in the staff memo. And so the first one that was offered was a definition, add to the regulations, and we suggested simplified to just read short-term rental, a dwelling unit or portion thereof that is rented to guests for fewer than 30 consecutive. Because we didn't want to prescribe conditions and require the definition. There's a proposal to update the use chart to include short-term rental. We, as staff, would recommend also including TZ5, because we do have some residents in that zone. So it's by special use permit in B1, B2, B3, and TZ5. That's what's
And just for the record, no R1, no residential.
correct.
Correct. But you can't just put one in
And yeah,
anybody's house, you can't book.
in the beginning narrative of the discussion in the memo, we talk about trying to find a balance. Not disrupt neighborhoods
Yep.
or have people worry about noise or crime or what, stranger danger that, and it wasn't proposed to be in the residential to begin with, but
So only in the business zones and by special use.
correct. So then we have some recommendations, new section 5025. The requirements or standards for short-term rental. And it speaks to all short-term rentals must obtain a special use permit from the Planning and Zoning Commission. The special use permit application shall include the following information: property owner's name, address, email, phone number, and rental address, the phone number and email of an authorized agent who will respond to complaints in person, by phone, or by text in no less than 60 minutes, should the owner be unavailable. Proof of off-street parking. If on-site, septic and well, a copy of the latest inspection. Acknowledgement that the special use permit will be willfully terminated upon sale or transfer of the property. And then some standard conditions of approval are suggested. A zoning permit is required. Prior to the issuance of a zoning permit, the owner or applicant must provide the planning department with proof of registration with the town clerk's office, proof of a change of occupancy permit from the building department, a copy of their rental agreement, which shall include contact information, including for the property owner, maintenance issues, town emergency contacts, and an additional contact to deal with complaints, trash / pickup, storage / pickup, information schedule, statement of no off-street parking being permitted, statement that quiet hours are from 11 PM to 7 AM, and that all renters shall be respectful of their neighbors, and any additional conditions of approval that may be determined.
Two things that I'd like to see, well, the question of, you say the well and septic inspection. Do we want to say within the past 12 months, or, I mean, if proof of inspection was back in 1952, I don't know if that's going to exactly
So,
satisfy what we're looking for.
okay. I appreciate that comment. I don't think we should workshop this right now.
Okay.
It's time for public comment. Once, we hear more, we could.
Okay, usually we get to ask our questions first before we open up to the public.
Okay, I didn't realize I was the applicant. So,
I'm sorry, but you can take it that way.
yeah,
Before you go there, I guess I'm gonna wanna expand on that concept, so maybe we can combine our two comments.
Okay. All right, so that was one, and then the other thing I just was curious about if we should require any kind of proof of insurance too.
sure.
Yeah.
Um,
When we open it up to the public.
Can I
Hold
speak?
on. Okay, go ahead. You're the applicant. Yes, you may speak.
So as far as the insurance goes, so everything with Airbnb and VRBO for short-term rentals, we're under their protections. So like even when you're talking about a rental agreement, we don't have any direct agreement with our guests. And as far as like insurance and liability, that's all covered when people book through the platforms. So we're under coverage with Airbnb and VRBO in terms of liability protection. The rental agreement is even essentially through those systems. It's not anything direct with the owner of the property or the business.
But you as a property owner, don't they give you anything in writing to show that you're covered by their limited liabilities or?
Well, so when you're a host in Airbnb, you essentially receive all of that. I mean, our situation's a little different because we have 3 other tenants in our house, so we already have liability insurance for our property. But that's something as a host you are provided on those platforms.
Okay, so, but this is changing our regulations, so not just as you as an applicant, but anyone who wants to hold this, if they do not go through one of those platforms.
Then yes, I would probably require them to have their own separate liability insurance.
That's where I was getting at. So just, if you're not going through a platform, you still need to show that you have insurance.
Yeah.
Jim, you got any,
No, I'm good.
Yeah.
I have kind of two concerns. When I think of all the business zones in town, they aren't necessarily, urban, suburban areas. I don't know, Ruth Ann, do you think you could show everybody what areas would be eligible for this? And the reason I'm asking this is we have very small business zones that are a couple of houses. And they're very rural. And in the Scantic Village area, we saw how
we have,
people felt about things in their neighborhood. So I'm not, I can see this in
that may be one of the benefits of special use permit, but it's not as bright.
that, or I was thinking the other way to address it would be your septic and well concern, which to me, when you have tenants that are there for one night, they may not take good care of a septic system. They may flush things you can't flush into a septic system. And we saw with the application of a subdivision in Wells that the testing happens once and it's not an ongoing thing. So I'm not sure that we should be allowing short-term rentals where you can't control the well and the septic in the really rural areas. So I'm wondering if it should be in
Only when it's on public utilities.
exactly public water and sewer,
So
because then you're covered.
I am trying to share this. And I'm going to pass it down. I'm going to take it out of there.
So most of the town, you know, you have business zones. I think you would be able to do this still.
Well, unfortunately, 140 is a big business zone and there's no septic
Yeah.
on 140.
And septic design is designed by number of bedrooms.
But I just think with short-term rentals, people don't necessarily understand you need to be careful with septic
It's never
systems.
been on one, yes.
And so I'm not sure they're well suited to a lot of transient people taking good care of it. And I also wonder about the water quality over time.
Well, if they have a problem with septic, it's only gonna back up in their own house.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
if they got a problem, I think they're gonna figure it out pretty quick.
This is in the sewer area, not necessarily, and this is the water. area.
Yeah.
It is millions
This is the terms.
of patients. Same thing. Up here, it's the sewer area, but not necessarily all sewer. Well, this is sewer, but it's not water. And water.
But I do think the short-term rental is well suited to Warehouse Point and Broadbrook villages. I just don't know the more rural areas.
Keep it in a business zone. There's not a lot of rural business there.
Except for that
That
stand,
little area.
Yeah.
right, that's the one I'm worried about. And then there's a Winterville one, which I don't know if that's well suited to it.
Again, under the special use permit process, the objectors would have an ability to voice their objection at that point.
Yeah.
Dave, you got any questions?
No, not yet. I'm still looking this over.
I guess the other, in the very rural areas, I don't know how they would, like, I think for the really rural areas, the 11 PM noise I would go to 10 PM. Going to allow it in really rural settings.
They do have some stuff. That is.
Would that be something that could again be addressed in a special use permit? That could be more restrictive in that area if somebody applied in a rural area? Could change their terms and conditions in that manner. Wayne, do you have any questions?
No, sir. Still looking the map over here.
Stacy, do you have any questions?
Yeah.
I do. The part that stood out to me was the designated property manager or the owner must be available within a 30-mile radius. I feel like either that's like too far or not far enough in some ways. Like maybe the property manager should even be closer. And if you were the owner, wouldn't you maybe want to be further? I don't know. I feel like, why do we come up with 30-mile radius?
Sounds like it's sort of a response time frame. If there's an issue, somebody can respond relatively quickly.
So I'm just saying, is 30, how that number get generated? Like, is there any evidence that that's a good number? Like, I would think if there was something related to response time, you might want them within 10 miles. It's just curious how 30 came about.
Yes.
Shane, you were the one that came up with that number. Can you give us some insight on how you came up with that?
Okay.
Are you talking to me? Sorry.
Yes.
That was something that was added in by Danielle, I believe.
No,
That wasn't something that we had proposed.
it was something that you proposed.
Let's see here.
When Danielle sent the final proposal, that was added in there, so I'm not sure who suggested that.
It was in your original proposal, and it was where you had add to section 203 definitions, and we took it out of the definition. So in there, in the, right above where that table is, add to section 3 definition. That's where there's a 30-mile
Yeah.
standard.
Do you have a copy of what you submitted?
Yeah, I don't recall that being in there.
It's under, where you have zoning amendment proposal A, add to section 203 definitions. It's fourth line down
All right,
within the 30-mile radius.
I need to bring up the proposal.
Last line down, second last line down.
What section? Sorry.
You're under A, add to section 203 definitions, the fourth line down. It says within a 30-mile radius.
Oh, I guess I didn't think that. I don't know, then I guess. I'm not sure. I guess at the time when I was writing this, it seemed reasonable to have someone relatively close by in case of an emergency. But I have no idea where I came up with that number, if I'm being honest.
And just so that we're clear, in the suggested revisions in the memo, we took that out of the definition.
We took out the
Put it
definition.
somewhere else. We have an hour response time.
Okay.
Distance.
So mileage, the distance is out of there, Stacy. It just says that they have to be able to respond within 60 minutes.
Whether it's phone or text.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think that's more realistic.
Yeah, me too.
Anyone else have any questions or comments? Okay. So this is a public hearing. Is there anyone from the audience that would like to comment on this application?
I was gonna kind of piggyback on what you said.
Please identify yourself for the,
Victoria, and also a short-term rental owner. Also live in town, so I mean, proportionally, that's it's not like it's random form. An hour response time is probably quicker than what you see in the majority of the world. I've traveled quite a bit using Airbnb, and our hosts are generally nowhere near where the Airbnb is located. So if you have that in there, you're protecting yourself. I mean, think about it, like we've traveled out of the country renting from somebody that's living in the US. So it's kind of having an hour response time is pretty solid if that's in there. But going back on that, people are vetted when they use these third-party rental companies. It's not like it's a random person that you're getting the riffraff just renting for the night or 2 nights or whatever. Their identity is verified, you know who they are, they've paid for this in advance. In general, they're paying more than what they're paying than these hotels. Like you can go down to the 90 night or one of the little motels on 5 and pay $50 for the night, or they come and stay somewhere that's a little bit more safe and secure and spend much more money. We're not. What we're doing is not bringing in random people, so to speak. They're coming through town for a reason. Any questions?
Are you only renting through your B and B, whatever?
So my background, I used to have a rental property in town. I think it's an absolute atrocity, our rules in the state of Connecticut for having residential real estate, so I completely got out of it, and that's the only way I'll rent something now, just through a third party company, because we have the protections in it.
So you only rent through there for the, okay.
anyone else? Is there anyone online that'd like to comment on this application? So as far as memo goes, do we want to put some kind of a better definition on this water well and septic, as far as inspected within what time period, or? So,
They're coming in for a special use permit. And they put their latest inspections. Not to the satisfaction of the commission.
Be denied.
okay,
Once they have a special use permit, it's good for how many years?
it says here until the property is transferred.
So you do it once on the septic and once on the well and never again.
Well, they can pump if they pump them,
They should.
every year or whatever year, they come out.
Or
and-
every other year.
Like I said, if it backs up, they're gonna be the first to know. They're gonna go right to their house.
I said the only one that's been affected is them.
Them.
For the neighbors.
So I'm fine with the way it is.
Okay,
Just you want to add your proof of insurance.
Have a note.
so we would,
Just in case they don't go through a third party.
right,
It's a good point you made.
So do you want me to put language in? Proof of insurance, either held or through a third party?
Just any proof of insurance,
Yeah.
because then.
Matter? Just proof.
proof of
If they don't go through
insurance.
the Airbnb, then they need insurance, that's all.
So that would go under D, 3D.
Yeah,
Proof of insurance is required.
it's not unreasonable.
I think any reasonable Airbnb or gonna have insurance through their Airbnb themselves personally.
Well, we're just trying to make sure that somebody's not going through Airbnb and they're doing it privately. That's all. Yeah, we kind of have to look for the whole town, just not one.
Insert that as D and then D. Conditions of approval.
Anyone else have anything they want to ask or add?
Okay.
I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing on application PZ 2025-14.
A motion to close the public hearing. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Unanimous. The Public hearing is closed. Anybody have any else that they need clarified, or are we ready to? Okay,
Ready?
Ready?
I'll entertain a motion on this application.
I'll make a motion to approve application PZ 2025-14, a request for a text amendment to changes to allow for short-term rentals in the town of East Windsor zoning regulations as revised in the memo to the PZC dated 7/15/25 from Ruth Calabrese and Danielle Boudreau. Finding that the amendments support economic growth in keeping with the goal of the 2016 POCD. The text amendment as proposed with staff revisions will ensure the use is compatible with the surrounding areas. And 3, the text amendment will legitimize a use that exists in town but is not expressly allowed.
We have a motion to approve this application. Do we have a second?
Second.
By Dave. Any further discussion?
I guess under discussion, I would like to get some understanding that if we have a property on a septic or well, that we will at least, that comes in for a special use permit, we will refer it to the health district as part of the review process.
I would agree. We have to verify that it's sized properly to handle
And
the
that it's
additional.
adequate.
As we get the applications in, then we can address it that way. Yep.
As long as it gets that review.
I'd like to add that we put an effective date, August 1st, 2025.
Okay.
You want me to amend my motion to include an effective date?
Yes, please.
I'm amending my motion to include an effective date of August 1st, 2025.
Hey, any other discussion? Hey, Dave, you still second the amended motion?
Yes, sir. I do still second the amended motion. Yes.
Okay. Hearing no further discussion, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Unanimous. It is approved. The next public hearing we have is PZ 2025-11. The owner applicant is East Windsor Planning and Zoning Commission, is requesting a text amendment for the East Windsor zoning regulations sections 203 definitions, new terms added, 301.4 general provision, 304D uses permitted in any zone, 304.5 permitted accessory building and structures, 503 permitted accessory use, new addition, changes proposed to clarify regulations with regards to solar energy. Dan, you want to take us through the amendments?
So these are amendments, to try and get them up on. Right. These have been workshopped by the commission over a couple of meetings. And the purpose of putting them together really was to clarify what the regulations are trying to permit in town as far as solar and what is not permitted. And this comes up with our efforts to clarify our standing grid scale solar. So the first items that we have is just the definitions of solar energy system. And solar energy system, a system that collects or stores solar radiation energy, transforming it to any other form of usable energy, including but not limiting to the collection and transfer of heat created by solar energy to any other medium by other means. Then we have a solar energy system, which is a rooftop or building mounted solar energy system. Is a solar energy system attached or mounted to any roof or exterior wall of any principal or accessory building where the power generated is primarily for on-site use or consumption. And then ground mounted solar energy system, a solar energy system that is not attached to a mount or mounted to any roof or exterior wall of any principal or accessory building where the power generated is primarily for on-site use or consumption. And those definitions were purposely crafted so that it's an accessory use. It's not primary.
1.4.
There you go. 1.4. So this is a section that already existed in the regulations, and it gave discretion to the CEO to allow for solar systems, not just on the roof, but or in the backyard, but also side yard, front yard, if that was the only place they would work. I took that spot to try and underscore the accessory use component of allowing solar systems in town and to prohibit solar systems as a primary use. And then struck the language that was permissive. And then maybe 2 weeks ago, Danielle got a call from someone, she had denied the application for a solar system because it was in the front yard of his property. And she went out to that property. It was a lot way in the woods, completely surrounded by trees, had a nice clear front area. And in order to get it to work in the backyard, they would lose an awful lot of trees. So because the regulations allow for her to that discretion, she approved the application. So we really want to keep the language now that I struck it out. We see that, when in the right circumstance, it makes sense. So it's either leave it where it is with this other wording or put it in sections 503 and 403 where we allow for the accessory use of solar energy.
Yeah, but that's only one case in like a million.
I know.
So maybe you can file a,
Variance.
yeah, something like that. Come before us. That's like,
Yeah, it gave her the discretion and she was able to use it. And if it's something that, you want it in your front yard, you'll need a variance.
and then come see us or whatever. Or you.
Or see
Yeah,
DBA.
DBA, yeah,
BBA is where it would have to go.
yeah. So leave it the way it is, I say.
That's it.
Yeah,
So I will tell you that in doing the exercise of writing the order on behalf of the commission, coming with the draft and finding places where solar energy systems or generation facilities might be allowed, this one came up. So I added, uses permitted anywhere, public utility facilities, and we initially had not to be interpreted as infrastructure. I suggest 4 power generation facilities. And I think infrastructure would include the power line, any appurtenances to a solar array.
Is the word facility and the structure?
Well, there's infrastructure, which is
Yeah.
transmission lines, poles, wires. Facilities to me is like the work center, the service center, like what's on Prospect Hill Road. Eversource has a dispatch center. That's not dispatch, but it's a work center, service center. Which is kind of weird because like wetlands uses the jurisdiction over the pipes and wires and, but not the buildings. So, right, so next we go to 35.
All three.
Number 5. 104, 403,
Keep going down.
There you go.
Yeah.
5.
Right. This is all the accessory uses permitted in the residential zone. So I added a number 5, rooftop and ground mounted solar energy systems where the power generated is primarily for on-site use and consumption. That's how thing. Those uses, I'm going to page.
Table 153.
55 and 3. There we go.
There we go.
503.
Oh, next one.
Oh, that, yeah, you're right.
Back.
Right here.
Very.
Yeah, right there after outdoor dining. Yep.
The table for the regular uses and then a table. So here, it's very similar. Rooftop and ground mounted solar energy systems, accessory to the primary use. And then I have parenthetically, generated power is primarily for on-site use and consumption. Those are all the changes. The application went across and received their comments back that it was in keeping, or they found that it has no conflict. It's not in conflict, regional plans and policies.
Anybody have any comments or questions?
I like it. Still allows the individual to put it on, business owner to put it on, stops the bigger players.
I'm interested in hearing what the public has to say.
Yeah, I think it's just another piece. We've been building a lot of building blocks between different orders, different letters and memos. And I think it's just another piece to kind of define that residential solar is okay. Commercial solar is not what we're looking for. This is a public hearing, so anybody from the, did we have a sign-up sheet then?
We do have a sign.
I'll just go by that.
Ask people to speak at the podium so that it gets recorded.
Okay.
Nice and clear.
Yeah, if you would, please, you come up to the podium. So there's a microphone there, so it'll also help in the recording. Mary Tarnby.
Well, I made my comments beginning.
Okay, thank you. Victoria Kana. Oh, okay. Chris Dale.
Somebody else wants to speak.
Christina Dahl, 102 Reservoir Avenue. Hello, commission members. I'm here in support of the amendments that have been brought forward by the town. And I also thank you for looking at grid scale solar and defining it more in our regulations. I've been working on this for about 2.5 years and learned quite a bit. I do want to say that I know it's sometimes disappointing to hear public hearings with the siting council. But the siting council does listen to what the town has to say. What the town says has the most weight. Whether it's a public hearing or whether it's a letter that's sent to them in regards to any array that's going to be cited in town, they do listen to the town. So I just want you to be assured that what you're putting forth with your order is being listened to. They do read everything and take that into account when the hearing comes forward. The second of all, for gravel pit solar, it's 65 megawatts or above. It becomes a certificate of environmental compatibility and public need. This is important for us because this will weigh the original gravel pit solar public hearing documents with the expansion. So it seemed like it was a disservice that the siting council approved the motion, but I do think that we can use this to an advantage because we have to look at both gravel pit solar and the expansion together. So the siting council will be looking at the entire impact of environmental impact within our town. And this is versus the public benefit of having it as a utility. And I know the expansion does cover quite a few environmental areas like the vernal pools, wetlands, there's historical sites. And if you receive the order response of 100 pages, they do point these things out, but there's also, if you look beyond that, there's quite a few things that we still can argue. One thing I did want to bring up in regards to the amendment that's proposed is that there's nothing regarding battery storage facilities. Within a solar array, they can actually put battery storage in there. We fortunately have not had that yet. There are some sites on the East Windsor, South Windsor town line that property owners have been approached to put in a battery storage facility. Granby just had one approved in their town. It's now an appeal. They basically put one of the worst locations for a storage facility. The siting council approved it, and the siting council members actually agreed that it was one of the worst locations for a battery storage facility. So I think it would be really important for us to have that in our regulations. While we're looking at this, I only printed out 2 copies, but just recently there's been several really big battery storage fires. This one in San Diego that happened last year, the EPA actually is ordering cleanup after the battery fire. It's now a Superfund site. And it's going to be stayed closed. Nobody can go on the property until it's cleaned up. I don't think we want to get into that situation again, knowing what happened with the mills. The other one is the Moss Landing that happened earlier this year. You might have heard about that. There's still quite a bit of investigation going on in regards to toxins and contaminants that actually have contaminated some of the soils around that facility. And that facility actually has a lot of strawberry fields near it and other agricultural fields. So now some of those landowners are facing the fact that they may not even be able to grow crops. So I just have a couple of these. Give it to you. You can share. Figured I'd try to get ahead of battery storage before we're behind the curve. And And let's see. I think the only thing else I mean, I know you've modified some of the regulations for ground mounted residential solar. I think it might be worthwhile to look at some of the regulations there. I know there's been reports of inverters actually on residential homes making noise. I haven't had heard of any in town. Anything with like setbacks or anything with tree coverage, like Ruth was saying, I mean, this woman had it in her front yard, but they were surrounded by trees, but it could be on a side yard and there could be a neighbor. I don't know if there's any regulations currently for anything like that. And those residential regulations do set a standard as well with the siting council. So they may look at that and say, are there any regulations in regards to what the setback is? And if it's like 500 feet, they may take that into account. Even though it's a residential zone regulation. That's about it that I have. I guess my last note to you is that if, I don't know if any members of the commission participated in any public hearings, or if they've listened to any through the siting council. They're all up on the web. You can actually go in and, if you have a lot of time, sit there and listen to what actually goes on. But I think it would be helpful to see what types of questions they ask. There's also a lot of evidentiary questions. All that documentation is usually found under each docket. So you could even look at the past docket for gravel pit solar and see. I don't find that a strong one to look at in evidentiary hearing or because I don't think there was a lot of questions asked, but Simsbury is a great example. Manchester did a really nice job. Windsor did a really good job with their public hearing. So I would recommend that you listen, see how the hearing goes and even participate because you could participate as a resident in town. Thank you.
Steve Dearborn.
Don't have a lot of facts. I'm shooting from the hip a little bit. But the reason I'm here is, what you're trying to do, make all these regulations to make it harder for them is a good thing. It's going to make them jump through more hoops to try to get what they want. But I got a couple of questions here. When I sat up there and they came in here and wanted to do this, they didn't do it because we wouldn't give them any tax breaks. Said, no, you can't afford to pay the tax and you don't need to do it. And they went away. Okay. Well, looks like we gave them tax breaks and they came running. So now during the budget vote here, what were we up to around 4? The people voted in 4 point something. And normally it should have been around 2. So we give those people the breaks and charge it back to the taxpayer. The other thing I want to say is when they build these things, these panels, when they wear out, which is in like 20, 25 years, they're hazardous waste. That's what they are. And it costs 5 times more to get rid of the stuff than it did put it up. So you got these LLCs being formed. As soon as the stuff runs out and they decide, okay, goodbye East Windsor, and they file for bankruptcy under that LLC or whatever, who gets stuck cleaning it up? So my other question is, what kind of a bond did we nail these people with for cleanup? Because when I had my mulch farm over here, I had to put a cash bond up in a savings account in the bank for the cleanup of the wood because they were afraid that I was gonna walk away from my property. And the town would have to hire someone to come in and clean up the wood. Like I said, I had to put cash money in the bank for cleanup. Now, if it costs $1 million to put up one of these projects, that's using that for a round number. It'll cost $5 million to clean it up. Do these people have bonds? That's what I want to know. Do they have a bond on them? Did you make them bond for cleaning up? Did you make them put up money somewhere like the town made me to do to clean up if I walked away? No, I'm asking, is there a bond? Do these solar people have a bond that they had to put up for cleanup if they walk?
This commission did not.
Pardon?
Nothing came before this commission to approve anything in gravel pit solar.
They didn't have to come in. Well, I guess they don't have to.
State,
Okay, so who would have been in charge of that? Our famous Board of Selectmen that we got?
state,
The Board of Selectmen?
the siting council of the.
Yeah, but we're in here making our regulations. Okay? We could make them put up a bond. That's another thing that you could do here in doing your regulations. Bond the hell out of them for cleanup, make it so expensive that they won't want to come here. Instead of letting them have a free ride. I'd like to know why there's no bond, that it didn't happen. Do we have a bond by anything?
The statutes prevent us from regulating them.
Well, you're trying to do it here with your little bits of.
What we're just going to do is say, we don't want it. It's not allowed at all in this
It
town.
has to be,
I don't want it here at all either, because
Trying to-
what it's doing to the farmland, it's gonna knock down the property values around people. And they're saying when they catch on fire, you can't almost put them out. Just like an electric car, you almost gotta let it burn out, or you gotta bury it in sand. You know? And Bill Symes,
Are they bond the construction phase of it? No?
Don't know.
but there's no bond. That's what I'm asking a question. Is there any bond anywhere for them to have to clean up if they walk?
Again, something that would have been run through the state. I'll let you come up and, we're not gonna have a back and forth. You can come up and speak after. I'll let you speak after he comes up, okay?
There should be a bond. The state don't live here, we do.
What we're doing with this regulation is just saying that it's not a permitted use. If we start talking about bonds and things like that, then it leaves the door open saying, well, maybe there's a situation where you can do it. And we're just saying no, that it's not a permitted use in this town. That's what we're going after. No amount of bonding, no amount of incentives or anything else makes it right. That we're just, it's not a permitted
It
use.
was so expensive that they would have to come up with all this money. They might walk away and say, no, it isn't worth it for us to do this here. You know?
We're just saying there's no price.
And that's another option. If you can't stop them, at least that's something else you can think about trying to do.
At this point, we're trying the total prohibition. That's what we're trying.
You know, I talked to Bill at the fertilizer plant. He sits on that, right? I guess they asked him to go in, but all he is a token. He's a token. He's just one vote. And he can't do anything down there. Can't do anything. But be a token, okay? That's what they wanted. That's the way they operate. I had a third thing I wanted to bring up. What the hell was it? I don't remember what it was. Must be getting old, right? I'll remember it when I leave. But can I ask one other question here? I don't know if you can answer this, but in this agenda here, you got gravel pit solar notice of appeal. What is that about? Can you tell us what that's about?
When we get to that part of the agenda.
You'll tell us what it's about.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I guess that's it.
Is there anyone else who hadn't signed up that would like to speak? Is there anyone online that would like to speak on this application? Chris, you had a comment you wanted to make?
So I just want to clarify for Steve that a certificate of environmental capacity and public need, anything that's 65 megawatts and above, that does require bonding by the state. But any smaller array under that, there is not specified that they need to be bonded. So I think it's a valid point because you could have a residential home that has a large array because maybe they have farm and they need that solar array, a larger array. To ask someone to have something to decommission it is a valid thought. I mean, I know that Thrall Road, we don't know if there is no decommissioning bond that we know of. So it's just food for thought. It's a good point that Steve brought up. But I do understand the amendment. Yes, you want to say no. I appreciate it.
All right. Does anyone else have any questions or concerns?
Nope.
So point was brought up about battery storage.
Yeah.
Is there a spot when we,
Was thinking was in 304, this we go, where I would put it, which,
no power generation facility?
so I thought, yeah, so we say or power generation
Slash
just say
storage,
slash storage or storage facility
power generation slash
or
storage.
power storage, energy storage.
So that was a very good point, because I didn't know that they had storage facilities. I just assumed that that went back through the transmission lines.
Yeah.
Never knew they had storage
And
facilities.
they try to equalize in off peak hours and things like that. When the sun goes down, it's still be over,
Oh.
right? So if they can overproduce and store it in the
Okay.
batteries, so
Yeah, and it could be with
like large capacitors.
Yeah,
just be a battery storage. So
Coming out the transmission line.
yeah.
Yeah. They're just like big capacitors.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good point to add in. Nobody else has anything else? I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing. Stacey, do you have anything to add? You're good?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing on application PZ 2025-11.
We have a motion to close the public hearing. Do we have a second?
Second.
By Dave. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Public hearing is closed. Right, so looks like we only made one alteration to what was proposed. Section 304D. Adding storage into our
Generation or
definition of power generation or storage facilities. Everyone's good. I'll entertain a motion on this application.
Can I ask one
Sure.
question? Would D read in the red letters a comma, striking that or power generation facilities and then or energy storage? Is it 3 items and see the, otherwise you have,
Yeah.
that's how you want it?
Mhm.
Okay, just wanted to be sure.
You're talking. We do an effective date.
August. Okay, we can,
Or do you need the effective date sooner if,
I was just building in this field period.
okay. So we'll add that into the motion. We'll make that a number, item number 4. Is that, I would like it. Number 4, effective date 8/1. All right, I'll entertain a motion on this application.
I'll make a motion to approve PZ 2025-11. Proposed text amendment changes to define and clarify the regulation of solar energy systems to include amendments to section 203 definitions, 301.4 general provisions, 403.5 permitted accessory buildings and structures, and 503 permitted accessory uses, with a revision to the proposed language in 304D. So D reads, public utility facilities, not to be interpreted as infrastructure, comma, power generation facilities, or energy storage. Finding that the amendments more clearly define and address solar energy systems within the regulations. 2, underscores the Planning and Zoning Commission's position on grid scale solar. 3, the clarification aligns with the objectives of the 2016 Plan of Conservation and Development. And 4, the regulation changes are effective August 1st, 2025.
We have a motion to approve the application. Do we have a second?
Second.
Dave, any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Motion approved. Okay. We have no old business to discuss, so under new business, we have PZ 2025-15. Owner applicant is Newbury Road Enterprises LLC, UW Realty 7 LLC. Is requesting a site plan review for construction of a 150,500 square foot industrial warehouse building and associated site plan improvements located at 68 Newbury Road, map 93, block 19, lot 6 in the M1 zone. Who's here to speak on behalf of this application?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. My name is Dave Ziyax. I'm a professional engineer and principal with F.A. Hesketh and Associates. We're located next door over in East Granby. With me this evening in the audience is Brad Wayman and Bob Urso, who are applicants for the project before you. The plan set that you're reviewing was revised. I think it's dated July 16th, is in your packet. That includes some minor revisions to the plans to address planning and engineering comments that we received during the normal process. The property is on the south side of Newbury Road. It's 13.34 acres. It's zoned M1. The Penske, I keep calling it the Penske file out. If anybody is a Seinfeld fan. But the Penske facility, the new facility abuts us. And then the other abutters and folks across the street are all a mixed use of commercial and industrial uses similar to what we're proposing. The site is basically open at this time as currently and has been used for many years for the handling and production of wood and mulch products. Our proposal is to build a one-story, 150,500 square foot light manufacturing and or warehouse facility. We have provided this sheet here, LA1 is in your package. That has all of the data, the zoning data for you folks to take a look at to show that we're in full compliance with the requirements of the M1 zone. We have 121 employee and visitor parking spaces, all located along the front of the building. On this drawing here, Newberry's at the top of the drawing, North is to the top. And the way we set this building up is that all the standard vehicle parking, employees and visitors would be in the front of the building. And then all the heavy truck use and parking and everything would be in the rear of the building or the south side of the building and not visible from Newberry Road at all. We have 46 truck loading spaces along the back of the building, and we have 33 open tractor trailer parking spaces in the back. And again, note that all the trucking activities will take place on the south side of the building. As part of our site plan, we have a new extensive drainage system that meets all the requirements of the town and of the new DEP design standards for water quality. There are 3 ponds on there that are proposed and operate as a series. 2 of them exist now. We'll be building a larger pond. It's all located in the south end of the site. Maybe Ruth, you could put up that next colored sheet there. Right there, you can see. Down there at the bottom of the site, the south side of the site is that those areas are outlined. There's a series of water quality basins and detention basins to, treat both the detention, retention of water and also the water quality aspects that are required. And that's all been reviewed by your town engineer, and the Wetlands Commission spent a good deal of time reviewing that. We did receive their approval earlier this month. The site will be serviced by the Connecticut Water and Town Sewer. Both are located in Newberry Road and will be extended into the site. We'll be working with the WPCA on getting the permits to do that for the sewer. The landscape plan, maybe Ruth, the next plan. The landscape plan that's in your set includes it's rather robust amount of landscaping. We have street trees proposed all between in that grass strip, the 25-foot grass strip between the car parking and Newberry Road. And then plenty of foundation plantings around the building, additional trees within that parking area, some buffer plantings on both sides, and then some plantings in the rear to help buffer the new facility from that wetland detention area. There will become a nice natural area in the rear there. The site lighting we're proposing is a Gardco LED fixture. We've used it numerous times on different sites. There'll be 22-foot high poles on 3-foot high concrete bases. Then there'll be wall-mounted fixtures in the back where the loading area is. Those will be the same fixtures. They'll just be mounted to the wall, so you won't have those typical wall-mounted kind of wall packs that people call them. They'll be the same nice light fixtures that are going to be out in the parking lot. They'll just be mounted to the wall instead of on a pole. And I provided staff with some cut sheets of what that light standard looks. It's very, very techy looking fixture. It's nice. It points straight down. And so the light path is very prescribed. You don't have much spillage one way or the other. We did provide a photometric design in the plan set that shows pretty much 0-foot candles all around the outside perimeter of the parking lot. We do have a full erosion and sedimentation control plan incorporated into the documents as well. I think based on the last staff review, we saw that pretty much all the staff comments have been addressed. I think that memo is dated 7/17. And we reviewed it with the applicant. We have no issues with any of the staff recommendations in that report. The architecture, maybe show the next slide there. Yeah, this is a rendering looking at it from the left side driveway. We have 2 driveways that go out to Newberry. The building is really set up for to accommodate probably 2 or 3 tenants. As we've talked about elsewhere, that what we're finding in the market for these buildings when they get about 150,000 or larger is that there's less and less single users for these buildings. And a lot of these buildings are being divided into 50, 60,000 square foot. That's the type of tenants that are floating around Hartford County right now looking for high quality new space. And that can be a mixture of straight warehouse, or it can be light assembly for customers. I just finished one in Windsor, 40,000 square foot building, and it's basically they bring machinery in that's manufactured elsewhere around the country, and they customize it for customers in the local area, which takes a little of this and a little of that. And then they actually do the training there, and then they ship it to manufacturers in the area for parts manufacturing stuff. So we're looking at that type of, hopefully that type of use here, not just a straightforward high velocity warehouse, but a nice mixed use of customers and tenants in the building. And the way we set it up and working with staff is we looked at, to start out with, it building it like 80% warehouse and 20% manufacturing. And manufacturing could be tenant, or customer light assembly, or just raw manufacturing, tool manufacturing, things of that nature. But as staff pointed out in their report, that should that ratio change substantially where it requires more employee parking and less truck parking, we would have to submit a revised site plan for that scenario. Obviously, we have plenty of room in the back, the south side of the facility to convert that truck parking into employee parking if we need to add more employee parking. But right now, we think we have a good mix the way it is right now as it's being presented to you. The other elevation there, Ruth, you have is more of an aerial shot. Yeah, so this gives you a good bird's eye perspective. You can see the street trees along Newberry, the traditional employee visitor parking in front of the building, and then that one truck just for artistic purposes going around the back of the building, and the loading docks would be behind the building facing the south. I think this is it's very typical of the large modern industrial buildings that are being constructed throughout Hartford County. And it's a nice clean building. Set back nicely. A lot of times some of these designs you end up with the trucks out in front of the building. In this case, this laid out nicely to be able to put all the truck activity behind the building. Our traffic department prepared a traffic study for you folks. This serves two purposes, one for this commission and one for our OSTA application. We're going to have to apply to the state OSTA DOT because we're over 100,000 square feet in size. So they'll get a chance to review this. Their focus will be down on the Route 5 intersection more so than the local intersections, but we'll be applying for that once we have approval from this commission. And basically the study studied Newberry Road from Route 5 all the way east to Winkler Road. There's a number of intersections there, both public roads and our driveways. And we used some of the data from the Penske development report that was presented, and we projected that information out to our design year, which is 2027. That's typically what DOT requires. Then we used, Institute of Transportation Engineers, ITE data to do our projections. And what we looked at was the idea of a full warehouse, a whole 150,000 square feet of warehouse. That generates some more trucks, but it generates less vehicles because there's less employees. Then we look at a full manufacturing facility, which has more vehicles mixed in because there's more employees. And then we looked at our 80-20 split mixed development and came up with a series of numbers. And as it turns out, both the manufacturing and the warehouse generate somewhere around 85 to 90 trucks a day. It's expected maybe 3 to 5 in a peak hour if we had a full warehouse. I'm finding that in working on a number of these projects and looking back at them, that the ITE is way high on the number of trucks this size facility would generate. If it was an Amazon facility at 350 to 1 million square feet, that's a whole different animal. But for this size facility, I think that those numbers are pretty high, but regardless, we use them in our report. But it turns out that the full manufacturing actually has the highest trip generation, meaning peak hour distribution. So you end up with 102 trips in the morning and 113 trips in the afternoon if this was a true manufacturing facility. So we use that in the capacity analysis for the intersections to be conservative. And we used the same distribution that was approved for Penske, which is common sense. It's 80% from Route 5 and 20% heading east on the local roadway network and distributed that, and all that's been done in the report. But basically, looking at each intersection, what the study says is that with our traffic added, using the most conservative trip generation, which is the manufacturing trip generation, that all of the intersections that we looked at really have no change in the levels of service. The sight lines at our two driveways meet all of the Connecticut DOT criteria for both the passenger cars and tractor trailers. There's actually two different criteria because the tractor trailer driver can see much further than a person sitting in a standard passenger car or an SUV. So we have to look at both of that criteria. And we easily meet both that criteria. So all in all, I think we have a complete package for you folks. We've addressed the staff comments. We have our wetlands approval. And we'll be going to OSTA for a certificate from them. Probably it'll be what they call an administrative decision, which is sort of OSTA light. It's a lot less complicated than a full-blown review that would be required if there were improvements proposed on a state highway or something of that effect. But since we have we meet all the criteria, I think it'll be just an administrative decision, which will move along fairly quickly. At this point, I'd be happy to answer any questions you guys have.
Stacy, we'll start with you. Do you have any questions?
I did have one question in the traffic study. The abbreviation LOS. What does that mean?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
So when you're looking at the traffic study, and this is the one that gets the letter ratings like A, B, C, D, and F.
Yes.
LOS, right, is what I see on there.
Yeah, LOS is level of service, and it's rated from A to F.
Right. So the significance of an A versus an F. There's just a couple Fs that appear and a couple Ds. Well, maybe significantly one F. And I think I'm really focused on the last study in the pack, which I think is the most proposed scenario.
Yeah, there's a couple of movements within that intersection that are at F and are going to stay F. I think we know the Fs if we go through that intersection to go to Walmart or whatever. Basically, I don't know why traffic engineers 30 or 40 or 50 years ago when they started this used A to F, because everybody knows what an F is. And everybody knows what an A is, but F doesn't mean the intersection doesn't work. It just means it has the longest delay. So the way they do the levels of service is it's the amount of delay. So 0 to 10 is A, 10 to 20. And then when you get down to the levels of delay here for this F, which is an eastbound movement, it's an 87-second delay. So that's why anything over about a minute, you'll get an F pop up. But it's an isolated movement within the intersection. So what they do is, so that intersection operates at an overall D at peak hours because there's a number of A's, a number of B's. It's like anything that you average out. But you're correct. There are a couple of movements up there that are F's. But with our addition to the traffic, it doesn't change the overall level of service up at that intersection. It's still a tough intersection during peak hour flows that we all know about.
Okay, that was something that caught my eye.
The good news is that all of the local streets, all the way out to Winkler, are operating at good levels of service. And that's not changing.
All right, thank you for that.
Jim?
So can I piggyback on that? We keep adding all these big buildings there, which is great. And I keep on hearing all the levels of service, nothing's changing. But Penske's bringing big trucks in. You guys are bringing a lot of cars in. Going out that way, it's tough getting out there sometimes in the morning. Lincoln Tech comes down at 11:15. They're backing up all the way. Are you guys concerned about backing up even coming off the highway where people coming in? But sometimes that backs up too a little bit.
Yeah, that didn't seem like that was a concern with the numbers that we have. I think actually we did the stacking lengths on the couple of the critical ones that's in the report, and basically it's it amounts to like maybe if you want to look at it in the terms of a tractor trailer, the length is essentially one more tractor trailer in that hypothetical, backup queue at the light.
But Penske, that was my problem with the Penske operation because they keep bringing tractor trailers through there. So that's, obviously it takes a lot longer for a tractor trailer to go through there than.
Yeah, there's no I mean, the Route 5 intersection, which has been widened 6 times, I guess, over the years. That's the one tough spot in this whole area. The rest of the intersections, all along Newberry Road and elsewhere are operating all at good levels of service. So, all I can say is that we will be adding, again, it's peak hours, it's number of vehicles per hour. It's not the total daily amount that we're worried about. But, we're not really exacerbating those conditions out there by very much. And
I'm not really a traffic guy, but we keep adding all these buildings and like,
yeah, well,
the traffic's good and the traffic's
kind of,
I'm out there sitting every day and go, the traffic's not good.
no, I'm not going to stand up and tell you the traffic is good at the Route 5 intersection. No. But are we going to make it that much more noticeably worse? No, we're not going to do that.
And I understand that Osta has the overall say with.
And that's their intersection.
That's their intersection.
If they have a concern with it, they're going to come back to us and tell us to fix something.
Widen the road, add a lane.
Change the timing on the signals.
And do something.
Whatever.
Right.
They will. When they see the levels of service on your town roads, they're not going to care about that at all. They're going to be looking at Route 5. And again, if they think that we're doing something that,
Coming off the highway, a lot of people, that's the way they go home from work every day. They come out the.
Shoot across the intersection.
They shoot across the intersection, go to Newberry Road.
Now, we're not going to really have any impact on that, but you're right, going westbound to get, you're probably not, very few of our vehicles are going to really want to get onto Route 5, maybe if they're local deliveries and things of that nature, but they're going to want to go across that intersection, get on 91.
Okay, well, I guess that's Osta's. Well, and also the police department did not sign off on this or look at it.
I haven't heard back from them regarding traffic. They haven't.
Oh,
Been Deputy Chief Habit.
okay.
I just haven't got their comments.
Well, he's going to be involved in the OSTA process as well. So they need concurrence from him before they'll approve the OSTA certificate. So.
And then also hours operation, I guess you really can't give me that because you don't have a tenant yet.
Yeah, I don't know, Brad, we're looking at pretty conventional tenancy here, right? But would
Doing-
any chance to be there all night? I don't know, would they?
24 hours?
Typically, these facilities operate 24/7.
Okay.
Most of the traffic's gonna be during that, but if you look at any type of manufacturing operation or the infrastructure and the rent is such a large component of their operating business, to use that infrastructure more hours of a day obviously helps them make more money.
Yeah.
And that's how most of these operations, they'll start on a regular 8-hour shift and then they might go to, a longer shift, but it's typical you see in warehouse operations. A lot of these guys we're involved in a building where they leave at 2 or 3 in the morning. They get away from all the traffic early, so these operations tend to spread out away from the busy time, so they know that the intersection when Lincoln Tech's coming out or whatever time you said in the morning.
12.
They're gonna work their business around that.
Yeah.
But most of these operations now, when they come for a delivery, it's an on-call delivery. So they know you have a time slot to deliver your product to that building between 10:30 and 10:45. And if you're not gonna meet that slot, you have to wait somewhere, get there early and wait somewhere else. Or, do your travel on the highway and get there on time. But these are all scheduled deliveries. You don't have just trucks hanging around waiting to be unloaded. It's all a staged process.
Okay, couple other questions. Fire marshal looked at this, so I guess he's okay with all the turning radiuses for the truck?
Yes.
Okay. Hours operation. Radiuses, 10-3. Oh, dumpsters, no dumpsters on the plants.
Yeah, generally what happens on these is, we were talking to staff about it on these buildings is there's almost never a situation where you have an isolated remote dumpster and a conventional pad away from the building. If there's 1 tenant or 2 tenants or 3 tenants, what they're going to do is they're going to mount a compactable sealed dumpster and they're going to have to give up one of their loading docks and install it there. They don't want employees walking through, truck mobilization areas to go out to some dumpster out, 75 feet from the building or something like that. So we don't even bother putting them on the plans because
Okay.
everybody builds them.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Also, what's the difference between light duty pavement and heavy duty pavement? I guess the heavy duty is obviously for.
Yeah, it's a little
traffic.
heavier thickness where the trucks are gonna go, but where the cars are, we can use standard.
4-inch,
Yeah,
and you go thicker with the trucks go around the back.
usually we go 4 or 5 inches and it's not only that, it's also more stone base.
Yeah,
So it's a heavier base. Yeah,
that's fine.
that'll be for the trucks and then where the cars are on front will be just like any other parking lot.
Okay, that's all I have.
Dan, you have any questions?
I don't have any questions. I think it's a very nice looking building, a good addition to the industrial park. And I believe that the traffic problems will get worked out through the state process. And hopefully that improves the intersection by triggering state process.
Dave?
I just have a couple questions. If it was mentioned that the trucks are coming in at a timed spot and they're not really gonna be hanging out, why do we have 33 tractor trailer spaces?
So those will be basically empty boxes.
Okay.
Yeah.
If we're planning on having that many tractor trailer empty spaces, would you be parking tractor trailers there? And my question goes,
Oh, you mean as a business?
as a,
They would be ancillary to the use on the site. So, I mean, we have a lot of these around. So if we have, say, a 60,000 square foot warehouse here, they may say, well, we want to be able to park 12 of our boxes here and move. They're going to be part of the circulation. They're moving around. So it's a nice attribute to be able to offer to a tenant because a lot of sites are so tight, they don't have this parking. And we don't want them cheating, parking boxes around the site.
right,
And this gives them an opportunity to park the box in appropriately designed location so that they're not, I call it cheating. You find them around the side of the building
Right.
where,
give them a
because,
spot to park.
and then you got to argue with them for however long because, we don't want them parking there.
But then don't we have to worry about in the wintertime, all the snow load on top of that tractor trailer and scraping it off? Isn't it a state law? We have to have the snow removed.
That's their, yeah.
No, I see no mention of that on the plans wherever that scraper system is that the truck drives up.
If we get into that, we're going to have to get a portable one and they're going to lose a space. They're going to lose a space to remove that. Generally, what happens is these things, they're pretty cool, actually. They roll them out and then the truck drives underneath them.
Exactly. I was just looking for one.
You push it and you push them back into a spot. You're going to give up a truck parking space to store the thing,
Okay, I was just making sure somebody was had a plan, had an idea
Yeah.
for it.
No, if you go driving down Newberry Road to Route 5 with 3 feet of snow on your thing,
Exactly. It's gonna be dangerous to everybody else.
East Windsor Police, I'm sure, will be happy to entertain a fee for that.
I mean, that was my only question was, I think it's a beautiful building. I think it's a great idea.
It's one of the nicest ones we've had an opportunity to do because we got a true circulation around the building, really clean. And without big retaining walls and all this other stuff, and be able to put the trucks behind the building. So if you're going down Newberry Road, you're going to see a fairly nicely landscaped parking lot and the trucks will all be hidden back behind the building.
That was all I had.
Dwayne, you have any questions?
I do.
Teeing you up for.
Great idea. I like it. But I see a problem with drainage. I know it went through the town engineer. I know it went through inlet wetland, but you're covering 80% or more of that land with impervious. And you got to drain it into a proposed, I can't see this here. Proposed storm water basin that drains into an existing pond.
Yep.
Don't you think you're gonna overdo that little pond? Doesn't that pond go out to a 2-foot wide?
Yeah.
And you got how much covered here? What about the 10-year storm, the 100-year?
We have it designed all the way out to the 100-year storm, and it's actually the flow coming out of that existing farm pond is around half of what it is now. That's how far we knock it down.
How do you do that?
It's just that you're looking at 11 by 17. Those are big ponds. If you look back on the aerial, you'll see that's
I get
almost as much is half the size of the building. So rest assured, these things are, quite frankly, they're way oversized, but that's the
That,
computer models we need to work with.
okay, that raises,
Remember, this site is currently has a lot of compacted process material on it.
okay,
So the actual, we didn't, the actual amount of change in runoff from the site with this versus what's been going on out there is actually pretty low. But we go backwards. We don't consider that, so our calculations are extremely conservative and they go all the way out to the 100-year storm, which is essentially 11-inch rainfall.
okay.
But again,
Just,
when this facility is constructed, if you go back behind that building, you look at how big these systems are going to be, you're going to look at it and say, yeah, we're okay. These things are plenty big enough.
it goes out a 2 foot.
Yeah, no, I understand that. Yes, it does. Yeah, it's a pretty small flow coming out of that farm pond.
It's a pretty neat trick you do there. That's a lot of magic.
Again,
What do you plan on doing with the snow in this also? You got,
well, we've got some pretty good areas, actually. We've got areas along the sides. You can see like there's sort of on the east side, there's a pretty good triangle area there. West side, we have the slopes. And then behind where the tractor trailer parking is, we actually left a ledge there so that you can stack snow up there before it gets down into the ponds.
okay,
So I think we're pretty good.
We're fill the tractor trailers.
yeah, but it's,
Again, you want to own one of these sites, you got to figure it all out, so,
it just seems like a lot of area with nowhere to go. But what about all the tractor trailers coming in and out? What about the oil they drip and the drainage into the?
well, that's why what we have is we have catch basins with the 4-foot sumps. They have hooded outlets, so you can trap any minor oil spills within the catch basins to be able to clean those there.
Right, right.
And then you see the cigar pond, I'll call it the cigar pond, that's the first pond.
Right.
That's basically a water quality basin. It's almost like a sacrifice basin if it had to be, something that's relatively easy to clean out before it gets to the real big basin. And then before it gets to the farm, the existing
Okay,
farm.
well, where does that 2-foot path go to?
It eventually goes along around the Penske, and Penske joins in with it, and then it goes under a culvert. And excuse me if I forget the name of that road, the next road down. Yeah, there's a culvert that goes under that, and then it goes into a gargantuan wetland system that basically all drains eventually over to 91, but into the river. But that's a huge conservation wetland area continuing south that way.
True. No mushroom factor.
Yeah.
It's it's just a lot of area going into a 2-foot wide.
No, I'm not disputing that, and that's why we took it very serious. This system is considerably oversized. If you were trying to squeeze it in here and minimize the size of this thing, that's not this design. This design is very conservative.
You remember Penske's is subsurface,
Yeah,
right? And then it goes out to the wetland in the other direction.
Right.
It's crossing.
Yeah, I mean, here we had, you might, if we didn't have the opportunity, we have this flagpole or peninsula, whatever you want to call it, on the south side,
Yeah.
which was already established for stormwater control over the last applications. If we didn't have that ability, we would end up with another large underground storage system underneath the parking lots and whatever here, but we don't need to do that here. We can use
Right, we just had
open basins.
a situation in town where we had a parking lot draining and it took out the sewer line. It just seems like a lot of water coming through there, but if you say you got it under control.
Based on my 47 years of experience, I think we're okay. That's all I can say.
That's it.
Pardon?
Ponds have a controlled outlet.
Oh, yeah, it's controlled outlets. I mean, you're talking about, inches of openings that the water's got to squeeze through. That's why again, look at that size box. It's the same area as the building, basically. That area between the trucks and that whole area right through there. If you factor that in, it's 2/3 the size of the building. Those are large ponds. You will be surprised when you get a chance to go out there after it's built and look at that. You'll say, wow, those are big ponds.
I got one more question. So legally, you don't have to answer it, but from my own personal knowledge, usually when you put up a 150,000 square foot building, you usually have a tenant in mind. You guys have any tenants in mind? Just nosy.
I can answer that. If I don't have an approval, I can't get a tenant. So until I have an approval, no tenant is gonna say, oh, wait until you get the approval. When they come up, show up that they're moving or whatever, they have a timeline it's a definite timeline when they either have to move or be in a new facility. They're not gonna take the risk of the approval process and everything else. I have to have a complete package, geotech, all my approvals, state approvals. I have to have everything so I can actually market that building. I can't market that building until I have the approvals. It's just.
I get
doesn't
it.
work.
Sir, I like.
There's a lot of buildings like this you see off Rainbow Road. They're huge open buildings and it's kind of the same principle.
Rainbow Road.
Yeah, off of Rainbow, there's a bunch of buildings in the back over there. They're huge like this one.
This is this meets the requirement of every tenant in the marketplace. We have buildings available in the market, but they're cut up, they're old, they have low ceiling heights. They don't have state-of-the-art sprinkler systems that this will have all the things that these tenants are looking for, efficiency of space. This is an extremely efficient building based on its depth. This is only 215 feet deep, which is a really good depth for a building. A lot of buildings are much more square.
Yeah.
Allows for a much easier flow of product. So you'll have column spacing is all specifically set up for what the new racking system
Yep.
and not the automated racking to go in the automated
BLMs.
stairs to go in between. This is all set up on the new standard where if this was an older building, which we own plenty of those that doesn't have the right column and everything, they have to take much more space to get the same amount of efficiency.
Gotcha.
And this is what people are looking for, because these buildings, just based on cost, have to rent for significantly more than an existing building. And that's just how it works.
I'll just ask you a question because I know it's a huge investment monetarily wise, and that's being nosy.
I got just a question going back to your detention ponds. Based off the elevations, I'm seeing they're going to be roughly 5 feet deep.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Correct.
The main water quality basin that we're building, that has a 2-foot sump below the actual outlet. So there'll be times when there'll be 2 feet of water in that basin all the time, then others that will dry out in between. And that's the so-called water quality volume that you must provide. So that pond is way oversized for detention purposes, but it's appropriately sized for water quality sort of thing. So we're getting, because the pond is so big for water quality purposes, you're getting a lot of detention benefit from that, which is an answer to that previous questions we were going over. Is it keeps the peak flow off the site a lot lower than it has to be by pure calculations, but that's just by default. That big pond is acting as a huge detention pond as well as a water quality pond.
Well, under normal conditions, it should have about 2 feet of water in it. And
Yeah, especially following good sized rainstorms. And then if we run into a little bit of a dry period, 3 or 4 or 5 days, you're going to see that water level start to, drop down in that pond as well. But it's going to be so heavily vegetated back there.
where my concern was if this ended up being, a 5-foot water, pond,
Yeah.
need any kind of site security, fencing or anything to prevent somebody wanting to use it as a fishing or swimming hole or something to that effect.
This is not going to be that kind of environment. Except for mowing around the ponds a little bit for maintenance purposes, this thing's going to go natural. And if you really want to wander around back there too much, you're probably going to need a blood transfusion after you've been back there, because it's going to be, Mother Nature is going to love the spot. I can tell you that much. She's going to love the spot.
I had no mention here that you look at. They upgraded that entire run, the southeast corner, all the way down around the corner of their property, through a big culvert that would be done under Craftsman Road. So that whole part of the system's been significantly upgraded from what it was when previous owner owned that whole property. So there's been a lot of improvement in how that water movements moved off the property you know, as they were doing their site plan. So if you have a chance to look back at those sites, that has been significantly improved. A lot of riprap, it's really well done now.
And do you have any other questions of the applicant? Lacey, you got anything else after our discussions here?
I think we covered most everything I had, so I'm good.
Okay. You, what's your feelings on as far as the police chief weighing in on this? They haven't responded back on,
I think the fact that they need to review the traffic study and sign off on the application.
that'll be their opportunity to voice concerns. Okay,
I'll go with that.
all right, so nobody else has got anything else? I'll entertain a motion on this application.
I'll make a motion to approve PZ 2025-15, the site plan review for owner applicant Newberry Road Enterprises LLC / UW Realty 7 LLC for the construction of a 150,500 square foot industrial warehouse building and associated site plan improvements located at 68 Newberry Road, map 93, block 19, lot 6, zone is M1. The approval is granted subject to conformance with the reference plans as may be modified by the commission and the following conditions. The conditions are 1 through 12 listed in a staff memo.
Continue on the ball side, more on the backside.
Sorry, 18.
Oh, 1 through 18, except that number 5 is being stricken. So the numbering will be 1 to 17. Are you need to make an
Could
edit?
we add to number 5, the plan shall be revised to include revisions required by the WPCA detailed in their July 15th memo? Not a surprise to the applicant.
In their July 15th memo?
Yes.
Okay. So it will have 18 conditions, maintaining number 5. Number 5 being revised to read the plans shall be revised to include revisions by the WPCA in their July 15th memo. The first 5 conditions have to be met prior to submittal of final plans. 6 through 8 have to be met prior to the issuance of any permits. 9 and 10 are conditions which must be met prior to issuance of the certificate of compliance. And general conditions 11 through 18 are also included in this approval.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the application. Do we have a second?
Second.
By Dave. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Unanimous. You have the approval.
Thank you.
Okay, we have no other business to discuss. Under correspondence, we have docket number 492A, gravel pit solar, notice of appeal. So, as you are aware, we wrote a regulate and restrict order to gravel pit solar. Basically telling them that what they had requested for modification to their application was not in compliance with the regulations and requirements of this town and that they should not proceed. And we received a pretty lengthy response letter to it. So I don't know what your intentions are. I mean, I read through the entire thing.
Yep.
They're, you want to summarize what they?
Well, the way I would summarize, they went point by point that the commission had their giving their perspective on their application as satisfying the tenants we were pointing out, as well as bringing a lot of discussion on state rules for reducing greenhouse gas emissions. And so that's peppered throughout there. They offered up, it's kind of answered like an interrogatory, right? Where they felt like there was some conflict, they, like for open space, in their application, they're offering to gift a large parcel to the town for trails and
Passive recreation.
infuse cash into the open space fund to give some money to both fire departments. There's a lot of, I'm gonna say a lot, that's about it. The, maintenance for trails in that parcel also.
I think there was something in their park and rec, yeah, also. Yeah.
There's something when they're answering about the preservation of historical assets in the town. They point to working with the SHPO and the State Historic Preservation Office, having an agreement to have commission a book on farming and tobacco farming, to preserve history.
Legacy, yeah.
So there's that kind of stuff in here, and they talk about their perspective on being able to make solar appear rural, to give the farmland a rest from the application of pesticides use, and they're looking at it from their lens, and they have voiced that in this document. So there's really nothing for the PZC to do at this point. I think Updike, Kelly, and Spellacy will be meeting.
So does this even warrant the response?
This is their response to our order. Their response was submitted to the Connecticut Siting Council. I think the attorneys have to, don't know what or how they get involved, but there could be a public hearing on this order and the response. And so then they'll have to figure out the strategy as to who goes and presents and, who. So, but right now,
But if they're
we're kind of in a holding pattern.
appealing an order we issued,
It goes to the Siting Council.
oh, it doesn't go to us to, okay,
Right.
I was gonna say, we could
No.
just deny their appeal.
That's just, yeah, see, and I think the state knows.
And they figured out what to
Yeah, they'll let you do the order, but it's really under their restriction, so they take the appeal. But what's good about it is the Siting Council has now digested the order and the response from Grapple Pit, and if they think of hearing, I don't know how the hearing would get triggered, whether that's a decision of the Siting Council. Seems like it would be, but that's as much as I know.
above our pay grade.
Yeah, it's as much as I know.
It's another move. Yeah.
This is here, it's posted on the town website under the solar facts. We actually put a link in there to the docket, so people can see everything that the commission is seeing, that the Siting Council see. That's that.
So guess we'll wait to see what the next move is.
There's a lot of accolades for the town.
Okay, we have no business meeting, no reason for an executive session. So does anyone have anything else they want to discuss? Yes, Wayne?
I do. I'd like to go back to a discussion we had about signs. We're talking about the size of them, where to have them, where possibly some people wanted to have signs with flashing lights or giant inflatable attractions that flop back and forth and all the light of that. But we're not against it, we're not for it, but Could we think about maybe having a permit for it? And that way there, it'll flop up in front of our face and we can look and see what's going on. And if it doesn't appear like it's something that we want to get involved with, and you know, that'll come before us each time and have them put a permit fee on that. So we can once a year possibly review it and maybe generate a little income for the town.
No, well, I
We
guess,
have a draft that's got to go to hearing. There, once we hear from you, what you think. You
okay,
mentioned the commission's already reviewed. Danielle came and gave her presentation and then she brought back the second copy of that while
Okay.
you were away. So, we can bring it back here if you want to workshop them one more time, or we can.
As a business owner, I would be upset if they charged me to put up a sign on my own property. Is that what you're trying to say, Wayne?
What's that?
Put up a sign, they want to charge people to put a sign up on their own property, their own business?
That's,
Well, it depends what kind of sign they want to put up. If
I
they're
would not
thinking,
be happy about that.
why?
Why should I put money to put up a sign on a building that I own or I got to pay to put a sign?
Well, if you want to put a sign that's going to blink or it's going to have something to affect traffic or.
we currently don't allow it at all.
Yeah,
So now you're just saying it can be bought?
yeah. You don't allow blinking, no blinking signs, none of those flashing signs are legal anyway.
Okay, it's just the thought I had.
Still.
So sorry, I wasn't aware that you're waiting for a response from me.
no, I would have asked, but the question came up, so
Okay,
it came front of mind. So if the commission would like to workshop one more time, there's no harm in that. Otherwise, I can take your comments into account. And they have to go to Prague.
okay.
I mean, it's set a public hearing. Whatever is your pleasure.
Does anyone else feel a need to rehash the sign regs?
Couldn't hurt to look at it one more time.
On the next.
Okay, we'll put the final revisions,
A chance to talk about it.
put the
Yeah.
final revisions on the next.
Everybody here.
Yeah, okay, I'll put it on there. Got the doc.
Okay,
You just keep Prague busy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Anyone else have anything else? Stacy, you good? Okay. Then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn?
We have a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Jim. Call for vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The meeting is adjourned at 8:22.
I'm sure you're gonna do it.
I'm sorry, 8:33.
Oh, you saw.
Hello.